Hi there, this is called the Great Akopian Escape Trap and it's in the Sicilian can variation. We'll see the great Armenian Grandmaster Vladimir Akopian luckily managed to steal a win in a lost position against Sayantan Das in the 13th Dubai Open in 2011. e4 and c5, knight f3, e6, d4 takes, knight takes and a6. So the can variation where white plays the c4 variation, knight f6, targeting the pawn on e4, where white defends naturally with knight c3. Bishop b4 pins the knight on c3 and reinstates the threat of knight takes on e4. So queen c2 defends, and now black's queen sees active duty along the c-file, keeping a watchful eye on c4, although it is defended by the bishop. So white asks the question to the bishop, trade or retreat. So black here takes on c3, perhaps thinking that white has to recapture with the b-pawn, in which case white has some ugly isolated doubled pawns on the c-file. However, white need not capture with the b-pawn, but can try queen takes on c3, giving up the pawn on e4. Well, in this position, it's quite a common position still. Caruana has simply played the sensible move castles here, whereas in the said game, Akopian went for this knight takes on e4, and that runs into trouble immediately by this move knight b5, which is close to winning. Not only does it target the queen on c7, but it releases the queen along that diagonal, which is hitting the pawn on g7. And white shouldn't be too worried if black simply captures a takes on b5, because now queen takes on g7 is hitting the rook. Let's just back up for a second here, and after that move knight to b5, I haven't entered this variation of knight takes on c3, but after knight takes, that has got to be better here for white. Both sides giving up the queen. So a takes on b5, followed by queen takes on g7, and that's hitting the rook. So the only way to save the rook is to play rook f8, but white's going to develop with a very natural bishop h6, threatening queen takes rook on f8 with mate. So bishop h6 is going to be met by the only defense is to place the queen along this diagonal, defending the rook. So queen d6 or queen c5. Here we're looking at queen d6. And white can simply continue with c takes on d5, leaving black very uncomfortable, hard to develop at all. If black plays b6 to try and get the bishop out, then rook c1 or bishop d3. Simple developing move, rook c1, threatening the bishop now on c8. The bishop's going to move to b7, and now f3. I believe this is the position that was reached in the game Sayantan Das against Akopian, albeit perhaps a different sequence of moves. After knight c5, the knight can be driven away with b4, and if knight a4, now rook c7, threatening to take the bishop on b7. And really black has absolutely nothing here, almost as Zugzwang so early on in the game. If rook a7 defending, then white can simply play bishop d3, perhaps threatening to take on a7. King f2 is possible, as is castles. Akopian, out of desperation, played f5, and it's really here game over. I think king f2 again or castles. White is so comfortable. He needn't be in a rush to try and recover the lost material. Of course, queen takes on c7 by black can't happen because queen takes f8 mate. He's totally tied up. In this position, the aforementioned player Das played swapped off queen takes on f8, got fed up and tried to simplify, but that wasn't to his advantage, and black ended off winning. So just going back to the position after b6 by black, white could have played bishop d3, and after if knight c5 straight away, as opposed to bishop b7, then white's going to be doing really well with bishop takes on h7, with a clearly winning position for white. So this has been called the Great Akopian Escape Trap in the Sicilian Can variation. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.